so much for joining us on the Perfectly Blended Podcast. This podcast is for blended families, for couples that want to strengthen their marriage and want a brighter future. Perfectly Blended exists to break the stigma of divorce, drop the shame and guilt holding you back, and equip marriages to thrive instead of just survive. We believe all that is possible in this life is based on the power of Jesus Christ and His ability to restore us fully. Let's dive in. Hey everybody, welcome to the Perfectly Blended Podcast. Hey, we are not even in the United States today. We're definitely not home. And we are actually, if you can see behind us, that's the ocean. We're on a cruise right now. Christy and I decided about a year ago to take a vacation, and the vacation kind of changed along the way. We've had some changes that happened, but we've went ahead and worked around all of those things, and we decided to stay in Puerto Rico for a couple days before our cruise, and now we're actually, this is our first full day at sea on the cruise.
Yeah.
Is it fun? Is the cruise fun so far?
No.
Tell everybody why you don't think it's fun.
Well, I had to fly here.
Yeah.
I had to fly to get here.
Yeah.
And now it's like, it's super, as you can see, it's beautiful outside, but the boat, even rocking just slightly, I even have the little things behind my ears and everything. I'm like, oh. And then I start thinking like, we're going to sink. We're sinking. So yeah, it helps that we have a balcony though, so I can look outside and see that it's fine. So in the middle of the night when I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, I can look outside.
Well, a couple things. Number one, she mentioned flying because she's actually afraid of flying. And she didn't used to be afraid of flying. It's
Nope.
just something in the last maybe 5 years or so has just come
Into
about.
my 40s.
Yep, and she doesn't know why. And we've flown a few times this past year, and this time around she was actually much better. It was a much longer flight too, but she had a lot more time to kind of prepare herself for it. But the cruise, we've been on a couple cruises before, never really been an issue. She hasn't felt wonderful on all of them, but this time around it's like it's different. And so today we really want to talk about, special ways that you can actually support your spouse and their imperfections, right? And I've noticed too, which we really want to dive into here, this is going to be kind of a short episode. We're going to keep this one kind of short because of where we're at this time. But, I think it's important that we have just a full understanding of what we consider imperfections. Christy may think about some of the things that she's dealing with right now as imperfections. I don't see them as imperfections, And I think that does come from a loving heart of your spouse, is choosing to love your spouse how they are. So we wanted to come up with just, 3 different points really to make, because this is super relevant and super appropriate for our own personal situation. Mm-hmm. You have anything you want to say before we jump into these few points?
He has a good point though, that I feel bad too. So then I start thinking like fearfully, and then on top of that I start thinking he's probably thinking he's so annoyed with me and I'm ruining our vacation, I'm ruining his vacation, and he never makes me feel that way. And then that makes me reflect on myself, because if the roles were reversed, I probably would be annoyed. Him and I talked about that this morning. I probably would be like, get over it, like it's not that big a deal. And it makes me want to be a better person because of how he loves me through my imperfections. So I think it's huge.
Yeah, I think it's so important that we understand, especially when it comes to marriage, is that my number one focus when it comes to relationships here on earth, right? Not my heavenly Father, but with my earth relationships, that Christy has to be my number one thing. Has to be. And that's even, beside myself. I understand we need to make sure that we're full and we can take care of ourselves to make sure that we have something to pour into our spouses, but I want to really be able to focus on her right now. This isn't about me. I'm not feeling all the greatest either during the last couple of days. I'm feeling a little woozy here and there, but I know that she's feeling much worse. And so I want to make sure that I'm here to support her. So the 3 things, that we're going to share today is how to help support your spouse in what they feel is an imperfection. So number 1, the very, very first thing we want to talk about is never be dismissive or make them feel stupid.
No, when he does, when I'm like, babe, I'm just like so nervous. He never, no matter how many times I've said that, he's never been like, Christy, like we've talked about this. He's never, he's just like, you're fine, babe, you're fine. And he's like, do you want to go get something to eat? Like, I don't care what we do. You tell me what you want to do and I'll just follow you around. Mm-hmm. And that actually encourages me to want to get out and do something, not just sit in our room, and be scared. Like, I'm like, no, I do want to get, our last couple cruises that we came on, we had 6 to 8, 9, 10 more people with us. So it's the first time it's just the two of us. So we have been a lot more busy than what we have been just the two of us. It's been more chill.
Yeah, before, yeah.
So him not making me feel stupid actually encourages me to not like clam up and make it worse. I actually am like, no, he's, being there for me. He's making me feel comfortable. I want to go and eat, and I want to try to go, like we just went earlier and did a dog guessing game. Like they showed different dogs and you had to try to guess, what type of dog it was. He won. He got 12. I got 10 out of 20. And then what's the other game? Oh, bingo.
We played bingo.
We played bingo, and that was actually a lot of fun, and I almost won. Almost. I was the very first person standing up. I only needed one more number.
Yeah.
So it was really, really good. So that encourages, by not making me feel stupid or being dismissive of my fears, it actually encourages me to try to like control them and get over them and still have fun. So I'm not ruining his vacation.
Yeah, and you're not ruining my vacation, just so you know that. And I've told you that earlier as well. But I think the dismissive portion we have to really pay attention to. So if we have a spouse, like we're doing something together and we have our spouse and our spouse isn't feeling well, we're like, fine, you stay here and not feel good. I'm going to go and have fun. Is I really think there's no value in that. I think it's really important that you say, you know what? No, I'm going to stay here. I'm going to support you now. If your spouse is like, please get away from me. Like, I don't feel good. My stomach's upset and stuff. I need you to stay away from me. That's different. But I mean, overall, like, forget you. I'm going to leave and I'm going to go do things because you don't feel good. You can stay here.
You're scared.
Or they're scared. Like, fine, you can stay in here and be scared. That there's nothing good that comes from that. That is the opposite of being supportive. And so we have to understand, like, that makes our spouses feel stupid too in whatever's going on with them. Because there's things about me personally too that I feel insecure about, that I feel is imperfect, that Christy doesn't think or feel that way about it. And she makes sure to make me feel good about what's going on with me. So, we have to understand, like, it may feel like an imperfection to us, but to our spouse, it's their job to make sure that we feel good about who we are. And I want Christy to know that she's loved how she is and who she is, not conditional based off of how she feels, how she's acting. Like, these are the things that are important. So yeah, don't make our love conditional. Or we become dismissive, or we become a person that makes our spouse feel stupid about those things. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you did kind of lead into number 2. You have imperfections too. And that's important to remember when you are getting annoyed with your spouse's fears. You have imperfections too, or you have things that it doesn't hinder them, and they could turn around and do that. We are on a cruise, so if you hear all that, we are on a cruise.
People moving their chairs around.
There's people up there. To speak of this cruise, though, it's probably like 30% capacity.
Yeah.
There's like
crazy.
Hardly anybody on here. It's really weird,
Except
actually.
the people that are here are right above us right now.
It's actually really weird, though. We go eat and there's like no one.
It's so crazy. It's the craziest thing we've ever been part of, yeah.
That makes it eerie, too. I feel like I'm on a ghost ship.
Yeah, the whole ship. So we're like completely sidestepping right now. But last night we went to go get in the hot tub on the deck. And we went to go get in the hot tub, and we had to ask the guy that was out there, we're like, is all this closed? And he's like, no. There was 0 people out.
In the pool, in the hot, there's 5 hot tubs.
Nobody.
None.
There were 0 people. And we've been on a couple cruises, and you have to like stand in line to get in a hot tub. So it was just really, really strange. But yeah, she says number 2 is, you have imperfections too. And we talked a lot about that, We have to understand the way that God's grace works on us. And we have to know how to be able to pass that grace onto our spouses, because we'll want it in return. We always want grace in return. It's about giving the grace is always the hardest thing. So I think it's really important to understand, like, we're imperfect people too. We struggle too. And it may be an inconvenience, right? We're on an amazing vacation we've been waiting a long time to do.
I'm kind of nauseous.
This is happening. This is real, right? But at the same time, I'm not going to get frustrated with her. She can't help it. It's not like she's doing it on purpose.
Right.
In all reality, it's just, we have to understand that we need to give just as much grace as what we demand in our relationships.
Mm-hmm. And that's like a superpower. That's like a superpower of Josh's that I've said. Like, he's very, very good at loving people where they are, how they are. I mean, with what they're dealing with, he's very good at it.
I just want to be given grace, so I want to make sure that I give lots of grace.
That's good.
Yeah. Number 3, we need to remind our spouses of God's truth in their lives.
Yes. So when I'm just being super fearful and stuff, number 1, it helps Josh to remember God and to pray for me. But then also, God will give him wisdom on how to speak into me when I'm really spiraling, because sometimes right now I'm pretty good. Sometimes I can really start spiraling if we don't capture it. If the boat starts rocking too much, I really get like, oh my gosh. And it's because the very last cruise we went on, I think the last night on our way home, we went through a storm and the boat was really all over the place.
It was rocky.
It was bad. And so it really helps when he's like, babe, we got this, and we'll pray together and things like that. I think it's very, very important to put God at the center and to remind. We started talking about like God created all this, and it calms me. It doesn't keep me calm for the rest of the day. I mean, we have to keep revisiting it, right? But it's no different than God's grace that he has to keep giving to us all day long.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, God's truth in our lives, guarantees that, life's going to be fruitful if we pour ourselves back into him, if we trust in him.
Yeah.
He will make our path straight. There's all of these things of God's truth that we need to consistently remind ourselves, and it's really hard when we're in a time of feeling fearful or we're just diving deep into our own personal imperfections to really even see your understanding of that. So knowing that we can support our spouses by saying, hey, God loves you. We lean into him right now. Close your eyes and pray to him. Not close your eyes if you get dizzy, but pray to God about it right now. Talk to him about it and ask him to give you some peace and some healing in the moment of whatever it is that's going on. And when we can support our spouses in these three ways, we can show our spouses that we're there for them, even when things get ugly, even when things are great, like no matter what. Like the last thing Christy wanted was to feel this way on this amazing vacation. It was the very last thing. I know that, and I know she feels bad about it. But I don't want her to feel bad about it. I want her to know, which does make it worse, but that's why I want her to make sure that she feels supported and loved this whole time, no matter whether we lay in this room the whole time we're here, if we have to, every time this boat's in the water. It's fine. Like it's okay.
And he honestly feels that way. Like I've never caught him off guard where he's like, oh, you got me. It's not fine. And I'm mad. Yeah. Never. Because I ask him all the time. And yesterday, when we took off, we got an upgrade, and so we have free access to the spa, and the spa has its own like private whirlpools and heated benches that you can lay on. I don't even know, but we tried to go in there last night because we got this upgrade, and the water is just in the thing, and I'm like, I can't be in here. I cannot. Like I'm freaking out. And so we ended up, I did want to be in a whirlpool, but we ended up, if you go to the middle of the boat, there's 5 hot tubs, the ones that we were talking about last night that we actually went to visit. I'm pretty good if I'm up on deck in the middle of the boat.
Yeah.
And what is great is that he never rushed me, and he gets overheated. It takes me a lot to get overheated. So like we sat in those hot tubs until like 10 o'clock last night because I was scared to come back down to our room, and he never rushed me. Never. He's like, you just let me know when you're ready to go. And like even today, we're out in the sun, but I feel the best in the middle of the boat outside. And he goes out, he's sweating to death, and he never, I'm more like, are you okay, babe? Do you need to go change? And he is like, stop worrying about me. I'm fine. So I just appreciate it.
Yeah.
You and how much he's loving me through this, because I really, every once in a while, get really pretty scared.
Yeah.
Actually.
Just know it's our job to support our spouses, when things are what we feel maybe no big deal, but to them it is a big deal. So, we want to conclude with this, that make time for your spouse, do these things, step out of your comfort zone. This is a huge outside comfort zone for Christy right now, and she's still elected to do it, to do something, adventurous but courageous with us, and at the same time,
we are porting.
Yeah, we are getting off at 4 or 5 different islands, so it will be a lot of great time. So I'm not worried about any of that, but encourage you, save for a fun vacation to get away. I'm going to show everybody a little bit when we end this here in a second, but I just think it's really important, like save up a little bit, make sure you save some time in that, and then offer grace, to your spouse, in what they feel is imperfections.
Yeah.
So, is there anything else you want to say before we end? This is like 15 minutes worth of a podcast.
We're normally an hour.
It's the least amount you'll ever hear us talk, okay? So we want to thank everybody for being here. We'll definitely see you next week, and I want to show you a little bit about what's going on out here.
Yeah. Oh, it's so pretty.
It's so pretty. All right, guys. We'll see you next time.
Bye.